Imagine waking up one day with the feeling that everything has changed. People who used to smile at you now seem distant. Conversations stop when you arrive. Small comments start to surface behind your back. Those who claim to support your dreams begin to question your every step. And the more you try to explain your intentions, the more it seems like no one believes you. It seems unfair, doesn't it? But there's a truth that almost no one dares to admit. When everyone seems to be against you, speaking up rarely solves the problem. Most of the time, it only gives others exactly what they wanted: access to your emotions. Society has taught us that we should always defend ourselves, respond immediately, and prove we are right. But what if that advice is completely wrong? What if, precisely when you believe you need to speak up, your greatest advantage lies in remaining absolutely silent? This idea seems counterintuitive because we have been conditioned to believe that silence demonstrates weakness. However, history shows the exact opposite. The men and women who have wielded the greatest influence learned early on that those who control their own emotions control much more than a simple argument. Machiavelli understood this like few others. His vision was always based on politics guided by reality, not ideals. He didn't observe people for what they said they were, but for what they actually did when their interests were put to the test. It is precisely there that one of the most valuable lessons of power is born. The greatest mistake a person can make is believing that every provocation deserves a response. In practice, those who react impulsively allow others to dictate their actions, while those who master their own silence begin to see movements invisible to almost everyone else. Perhaps you've already experienced this without realizing it. The more you tried to explain your side of the story, the less you were heard. The more you tried to convince someone of your honesty, the more distrust you encountered. And the more you chased approval, the more it seemed to elude you. This happens because human nature works very differently than we would like. People don't just judge words, they observe posture, emotional stability, consistency, and above all, how someone reacts under pressure. That's exactly why better to be feared than loved never meant spreading fear, but conveying the image of someone who cannot be emotionally manipulated while still avoiding being hated. Throughout this video, you will discover how to recognize the silent signs of betrayal before it happens, understand why so many people attack driven by fear, and learn how to use calculated use of force without raising your voice. You will also see how virtù and fortuna go hand in hand when we adopt decisions based on true human nature. Why the appearance of virtue can deceive even the most intelligent, how to build your own loyal armies, and develop a constant adaptability that prevents anyone from controlling your decisions. Because in the end, true power doesn't belong to the one who wins every argument. It belongs to the one who understands when to speak, when to act, and above all, when silence becomes the most powerful weapon anyone can wield. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now, not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder you are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. Most people believe that betrayal begins when someone lies, abandons, or attacks. But Machiavelli would teach that it is born much earlier, in small changes that almost no one notices, because true politics guided by reality, not by ideals, demands observing the facts, not expectations. Those who master this skill cease to be bound by words and begin to study repeated behaviors, because people rarely reveal their intentions all at once. They deliver fragments, small inconsistencies, subtle changes in tone of voice, delays that didn't exist before, excessive praise followed by a strange detachment, unusual curiosity about their plans, and a growing willingness to hide simple information. It is at this moment that decisions based on real human nature come into play, because trusting only what one would like to be true opens the door to one's own vulnerability. A strategic leader understands that virtù and fortuna go hand in hand, but knows that fortuna favors those who observe before acting. Instead of confronting immediately, they record patterns over days or weeks, compare attitudes, analyze who changes their behavior in the presence of certain people, and perceive who demonstrates loyalty only when it is convenient. A simple exercise involves revealing different information to different people and discreetly observing where each piece of information travels, without accusations, without conflict, just gathering evidence. This is exactly how one avoids falling into the trap of appearances, because the appearance of virtue often hides far less noble interests. Those who understand this also understand that better to be feared than loved has never meant spreading fear irrationally, but rather projecting the image of someone difficult to manipulate while continuing to avoid being hated, preserving respect and balance. The true strategist uses the calculated use of force only when the facts are already clear, preserves their own loyal armies, investing time in building solid relationships with those who demonstrate constancy, and practices constant adaptability, because they know that human behavior changes according to the environment. And just when it seems the time has come to respond, perhaps the greatest advantage still lies in remaining completely still, observing what others believe no one notices. There's a psychological trap that ensnares most people without them realizing it, believing that every accusation deserves an immediate response. Machiavelli understood that those who constantly try to prove their own worth give others exactly what they seek: predictability. True politics, guided by reality, not ideals, shows that power rarely lies in speaking louder. It almost always lies in controlling those who can influence your emotions. When someone provokes, spreads rumors, or tries to belittle another person in front of others, the goal is usually not to discover the truth, but to test their level of self-control. It's a silent game of emotional reading, based on decisions grounded in real human nature, where the winner is the one who remains in control of themselves. Think of a work environment. A colleague makes a veiled criticism during a meeting, hoping you'll get angry. If the response is emotionally charged, they've already managed to direct your actions. But if you simply ask an objective question, smile discreetly, and continue guiding the conversation, the dynamic changes completely. This is the true calculated use of force, acting only when the action produces an advantage, never because emotion demanded a reaction. That's why better to be feared than loved also means being respected for emotional stability, while avoiding being hated requires avoiding unnecessary confrontations that only fuel conflict. Powerful people don't waste energy responding to every comment because they understand that the appearance of virtue is often built on serenity in the face of pressure. They strengthen their own loyal armies by carefully choosing who deserves explanations, preserve their virtue and fortune by maintaining a clear mind even under attack, and cultivate constant adaptability, understanding that each situation demands a different approach. Interestingly, The less need someone shows to convince others, the more authority they convey, and it is precisely at this point that an even deeper question arises. Why do so many people choose to betray precisely those who have never harmed them? Most people believe that betrayal stems from hatred, but Machiavelli saw something far more unsettling. Most often, it stems from fear. Fear of losing ground, of being compared, of falling behind, or of seeing someone grow beyond what they imagined possible. This is the essence of a politics guided by reality, not ideals. Understanding that human beings rarely act purely out of malice. They act to protect what they believe is threatened. Decisions based on real human nature show that a colleague may begin to subtly sabotage another, not because they hate them, but because they fear being replaced. A friend may distance themselves when they perceive your financial progress, not because they wish for your failure, but because your evolution exposes their own limitations. This is precisely why the appearance of virtue deceives so many observers. Those who smile, praise, and show support are not always celebrating your achievements. Sometimes they are simply hiding growing insecurity. Notice how some people change completely when you receive a promotion, open a successful business, or simply begin to demonstrate more confidence. Praise dwindles, criticism arises subtly, and jokes take on a different weight. Those who understand virtù and fortuna don't interpret this as bad luck, but as a natural consequence of human dynamics. Instead of turning every strange behavior into war, they employ the calculated use of force, observing who remains constant when their position improves and who changes their attitude according to convenience. This also explains the true meaning of better to be feared than loved. People excessively dependent on the approval of others become easy to manipulate, while those who inspire respect preserve their autonomy without failing to avoid being hated. Their own loyal armies are formed by a few, but consistent allies built over time, never by the excitement of the moment. This posture demands constant adaptability, because each new level of growth reveals new intentions around them. And the more one understands that betrayal usually stems from fear, the more one realizes that there is an even more powerful weapon than understanding others, completely mastering one's own emotions before they master you. There is a huge difference between feeling an emotion and allowing it to guide your decisions. Machiavelli understood that a strategist's greatest defeat occurs the moment someone else manages to choose their reactions for them. That's why true politics, guided by reality, not ideals, begins within one's own mind, where every impulse needs to be analyzed before being transformed into action. Decisions based on real human nature show that manipulative people almost never attack your intelligence. They attack your emotional stability because they know that an angry person talks too much, reveals intentions, loses focus, and gives away valuable information without realizing it. Imagine receiving an offensive message at work or in a group of friends. Most people respond immediately to relieve the tension, but the strategist does the exact opposite. They close the conversation, wait a few hours, return to the subject when the emotion has already lost its strength, and notice details that would have gone unnoticed before. Often during this interval, the aggressor contradicts themselves, apologizes, or exposes their true intention without any external effort. This simple habit represents a powerful, calculated use of force, demonstrating that action only occurs when it produces advantage, never to satisfy the ego. Those who practice this understand that better to be feared than loved also means being recognized as someone impossible to destabilize, while avoiding being hated requires responding firmly, but without turning any disagreement into a personal war. The appearance of virtue is also strengthened when serenity replaces impulsiveness, as few qualities convey as much authority as calmness under pressure. Thus, Virtu and Fortuna cease to depend on luck and begin to reflect emotional discipline, strengthening one's own loyal armies, composed of people who trust those who remain balanced even in the most difficult situations. This posture demands constant adaptability because each challenge tests a different emotion. And just when someone believes that controlling their own mind is enough, they discover that there is an even more powerful tool: learning to use silence to make others reveal what they would never say in a direct confrontation. Silence is unsettling because it forces people to confront their own conscience, and Machiavelli knew that few weapons are as effective without requiring a single confrontation. While most believe that winning a dispute means presenting the best argument, true politics, guided by reality, not ideals, reveals that those who speak less tend to learn more because they transform each conversation into an opportunity to observe instead of merely reacting. Decisions based on real human nature show that human beings feel an almost irresistible impulse to fill the void left by silence. Just consider an important negotiation. Whoever responds immediately reveals their position, but whoever pauses, maintains eye contact, and remains calm makes the other side continue talking, justifying, revealing insecurities, and often offering information they never intended to share. It is precisely there that the true calculated use of force is born. Silence ceases to be the absence of words and becomes the presence of control. In a family argument, for example, responding to every provocation only fuels the conflict. A short answer, followed by serenity, often causes the other person to lose their balance, exposing their emotions without any effort on their part. This is one of the reasons why better to be feared than loved can also mean being unpredictable. No one can easily manipulate someone who doesn't react as expected. At the same time, it's essential to avoid being hated, using silence as an instrument of intelligence and never as contempt or arrogance. The appearance of virtue is strengthened when discretion replaces the constant need to prove oneself right, while virtue and fortune unite in the ability to wait for the most favorable moment before acting. In this way, loyal and devoted armies come to trust even more in someone who demonstrates emotional control even under pressure. And constant adaptability allows one to perceive when it's time to remain silent and when the moment to speak has finally arrived. Interestingly, the more someone learns to master their own silence, the more they begin to see invisible details in people's behavior, as if each gesture hid a language that few can interpret. Few skills offer as much advantage as learning to see patterns instead of isolated events, because Machiavelli understood that a single action can deceive, but a sequence of behaviors almost always reveals the truth. This is the essence of a politics guided by reality, not by ideals, abandoning hasty judgments and beginning to observe what silently repeats itself over time. Decisions based on real human nature show that no one completely changes their personality overnight. What changes are the circumstances that allow certain traits to appear. Notice who only shows loyalty when they need a favor, who disappears when difficulties arise, who criticizes those absent but praises those present, or who adapts their own speech depending on who is listening. These behaviors seem small when viewed separately, but together they form an extremely accurate map of someone's true nature. A good exercise is to stop asking, "What did this person say?" and start asking, "What do they do?" repeatedly. Mentally noting these repetitions for a few weeks usually reveals much more than any direct conversation. This is exactly how the calculated use of force works, acting based on accumulated evidence, never on momentary impressions. Those who develop this perception understand that better to be feared than loved doesn't mean intimidating others, but becoming someone difficult to deceive, while continuing to avoid being hated, avoiding accusations without proof or impulsive confrontations. The appearance of virtue can be built in a few minutes, but the consistency between words and actions requires time, and it is in this interval that virtue and fortune favor those who know how to wait. One's own loyal armies are also chosen in this way, not by the most beautiful speeches, but by the constancy demonstrated in the small actions of daily life. All this requires constant adaptability because new situations reveal new layers of human behavior. And the more someone learns to read these invisible patterns, the more they realize that to see others clearly, they first need to endure moments when they will walk practically alone. Precisely where many see weakness, but few discover true strength. Almost everyone fears being alone because they have learned to associate isolation with failure. But Machiavelli would understand that some of the most important periods in life happen precisely when the noise of opinions disappears. True politics, guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches that temporary distance from distractions is not a punishment, but a rare opportunity to see reality without the constant interference of others' expectations. Decisions based on real human nature show that many people remain surrounded by energy-draining company simply to avoid the discomfort of loneliness, without realizing that this fear makes them dependent on the approval of others. The strategist does the opposite, transforms a few hours of silence into personal investment. Instead of filling every free moment with social media or empty conversations, they use this time to reflect, write down their observations, review the week's events, and study works such as Machiavelli's The Prince, Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and Sun Tzu's The Art of War, extracting principles that strengthen their analytical capacity. It is in this space of reflection that the true calculated use of force is born, because the mind ceases to react automatically and begins to act deliberately. Gradually, it realizes that better to be feared than loved also means not depending emotionally on the constant presence of people, while avoiding being hated remains essential to preserving healthy relationships when they truly matter. The appearance of virtue loses importance in the face of the silent construction of character, and virtu and fortuna begin to walk side by side, favoring those who use their time alone to evolve instead of lamenting the absence of company. Thus, one's own loyal armies naturally become stronger because only those who value who you truly are remain, not who you try to appear to be. This transformation requires constant adaptability, since isolation can be uncomfortable at first, but when well used, it becomes a laboratory where mental clarity replaces confusion. And it is precisely from this clarity that an even more powerful skill is born, learning to study people deeply without having to confront them directly. The greatest strategists in history understood a truth that most people ignore. Confronting someone too early almost always interrupts the flow of information. Machiavelli knew that those who immediately reveal everything they perceive end up alerting their adversary, allowing them to hide their true interests. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches precisely the opposite. First observe, then understand, and only then decide if it is worthwhile to act. Decisions based on real human nature show that each person leaves traces of their own character in common everyday situations. Observe how they treat someone who can offer no benefit, how they react when they miss an opportunity, how they talk about old friends or former work partners, and above all, how they behave when they believe no one is paying attention. These moments reveal much more than any carefully prepared speech. A simple exercise consists of speaking less during a conversation and asking open-ended questions, such as, "What do you think about this?" or "How would you handle this situation?" Then just listen. Silence will do the rest. The more a person speaks, the more they reveal their fears, priorities, ambitions, and even moral limitations. This is the true calculated use of force, acquiring knowledge without needing to wage a battle. Those who master this skill understand that better to be feared than loved also means being recognized as someone difficult to decipher, while continuing to seek to avoid being hated, avoiding turning each discovery into an unnecessary accusation or dispute. The appearance of virtue can be reproduced by anyone for a few minutes, but the consistency between behavior and discourse withstands time and pressure. This is why Virtù and Fortuna favor those who observe before trusting, strengthening their own loyal armies composed of people whose loyalty has been proven by actions and not just words. All this requires constant adaptability because each environment reveals a different version of people. And when someone finally learns to see others with such clarity, they realize there is an even greater challenge: carefully controlling the image the world builds of them. Most people believe that reputation is a matter of chance, but Machiavelli understood that it is built through silent and consistent choices. In any environment, people will form an opinion about you, whether you want to or not. And true politics guided by reality, not ideals, consists of understanding this process before it is controlled by others. Decisions based on real human nature show that no one is remembered only for what they do occasionally, but for the pattern they repeatedly transmit. Those who complain about everything become seen as a problem. Those who talk too much about their plans arouse curiosity in some and envy in many. Those who work quietly, keep their promises, and only appear when they have concrete results build an authority that rarely needs explanations. That's why revealing less can be one of the smartest strategies. Instead of announcing every project, every achievement, or every goal, let the facts speak before the words. An entrepreneur who discusses all their next steps often receives opinions, criticism, and even sabotage before even starting. Another, who works discreetly and presents only the final result, preserves their energy and reduces external interference. This is the true calculated use of force, controlling the flow of information without resorting to manipulation or theatrics. The appearance of virtue also plays an important role, not as falsehood, but as an awareness that posture, discipline, punctuality, and balance communicate long before any discourse. Thus, better to be feared than loved means inspiring respect through the consistency of actions, while avoiding being hated requires sufficient humility not to transform success into ostentation. Those who understand Virtù and Fortuna know that opportunities arise more frequently for those whose reputation inspires confidence, naturally strengthening their own loyal armies, composed of people who choose to remain by the side of those who demonstrate stability. All this requires constant adaptability because the image that works in one environment may not work in another. And just when someone masters the art of controlling their public perception, they discover that they still need to learn the element that separates the impulsive from the true strategists, recognizing the exact moment to act. There is a crucial difference between waiting out of fear and waiting strategically. Machiavelli understood that many battles are lost not because of a lack of courage, but because of haste. True politics, guided by reality, not ideals, teaches that acting too early can destroy months of observation, while acting too late allows opportunity to slip away. The strategist does not choose the moment based on anxiety, but on evidence. Decisions based on real human nature show that people often reveal their greatest weaknesses when they believe they have already won. It is precisely at this stage that they lower their guard, speak more than they should, become overconfident, and let slip details they previously protected carefully. Those who understand this avoid responding to the first provocation, Avoid making important decisions during moments of anger and resist the temptation to resolve everything immediately. Consider a businessman who discovers signs of disloyalty within his own team. Instead of confronting everyone on the same day, he continues observing, records facts, identifies who truly deserves trust, and only then makes precise decisions. The result is usually far more effective than an impulsive reaction based solely on suspicion. This is the true, calculated use of force, acting only when the probability of success outweighs the emotional need to act. The appearance of virtue remains preserved, as firmness is accompanied by justice, not impulsiveness. Thus, better to be feared than loved means being recognized as someone who decides with precision and not under pressure, while avoiding being hated requires that each action be proportional, rational, and based on facts. Those who develop this posture strengthen their own loyal armies because they inspire confidence even in the most delicate moments and understand that virtù and fortuna favor those who combine preparation, discipline, and a correct reading of the environment. This ability stems from constant adaptability, from the willingness to change strategy whenever reality demands it, without clinging to pride or expectations. In the end, those who master time cease to be driven by events and begin to lead them, discovering that true power has never been in the speed of reactions, but in the precision of choices. If you've made it this far, you've already realized that true power has never been about winning arguments, responding to provocations, or proving to the world that you're right. True power is born when you understand human nature better than most people understand themselves. It is at this moment that your decisions cease to be guided by impulse and begin to be guided by strategy. You stop wasting energy trying to convince those who have already decided not to understand you and begin to invest that same energy in building a life that speaks for itself. Machiavelli never suggested that anyone should live in fear or distrust everyone. His greatest lesson was always to observe reality as it truly is. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, teaches that people change, interests change, and circumstances change. Therefore, those who wish to build a strong life need to develop constant adaptability, make decisions based on real human nature, and understand that virtue and fortune favor those who remain prepared when opportunities arise. Remember also that better to be feared than loved never meant spreading fear, but earning respect through firmness, competence, and emotional stability, always seeking to avoid being hated by acting with balance and intelligence. The true appearance of virtue doesn't come from beautiful speeches, but from the consistency between what you say and what you do. And the calculated use of force isn't about attacking first, but about acting only when the action truly produces an advantage. In this way, you build your own loyal armies, made up of people who stay by your side because they trust your character, and not just because they need you. Now I want to leave you with some questions to reflect on. How many times have you reacted impulsively and realized too late that silence would have been a much more powerful response? Is there someone in your life who now controls your emotions simply because they know exactly how you react? And looking at your own journey, are you living according to reality, or are you still trapped in the image you wish the world were? Write your answer in the comments. I want to know which lesson from this video most changed your perspective on people and which strategy you plan to apply first. Your experience could help someone going through the exact same situation. If this content made you think differently, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week you'll find in-depth analyses of strategy, power, psychology, philosophy, and the principles of Machiavelli, always applied to modern life, so you can learn to act intelligently, strengthen your mind, and never be easily manipulated again. See you in the next video.